Fellow Greymanes, we have gotten another huge Crimson Desert update, and in this video I'll be showcasing the patch changes alongside all of the hidden updates, as there are a lot of secrets that are not listed in the patch notes themselves. There's a ton of new dialogue and lines added into the game and in cities when you pick up bounties, and a lot of other things again that are not listed in the patch notes. Now, one of the big things obviously being the baby Wyvern here, which in a future update you will be able to ride, similar to the trailer for this game. And not only that, there are 20 new pets in this game, including this little feathered weasel here, which looks very suspiciously like a griffin. Maybe in a future update, we'll get a rideable griffin, as it looks like they're going to be adding in more flying mounts. There are also some hidden changes to mounts as well, which I think is amazing. And they also made some changes to Damiane across the board. KLIFF also got changes, now being able to use guns and such. It's a great update, and we'll be breaking down all of that. And I'll go over one more hidden update here before we get into the patch notes. Now, wearing helmets in this game was always pretty lame, but they've made some major changes now. As you can see, there is now chainmail underneath the helmet, so you don't have your bare neck showing, especially because you can see his scar. And this includes a lot of the helmets in the game, especially some of the very first ones that you will get. This is a great change, as it's just a nice cosmetic. And with the last update, KLIFF is now able to wear a lot of Oongka's different outfits, and he can now, in this update, use some of Damiane's guns. Things like rifles, but just not pistols. Actually, I'll give you one more hidden update here, because there is just so many to cover. With mounts, you can now get a lot more XP from them when you're riding, so this is nice because riding a horse is not as cool as riding some of these other animals now, but horse XP will scale up a lot faster, like a very noticeable amount. Also, in the last update, they added things like iguanas here, which has a poison spit, which I think is nice. Maybe we'll see some more poison-based abilities. But first up, one of the big changes to this is now when you go into selecting items, you don't have your mask equipped on your weapons anymore. It is now listed under armor. So what this means is that you're no longer, when you're trying to switch out your melee weapons, you're not going to be pulling out your shovel anymore, which is honestly a huge update. This is something I've been wanting for a very long time, and it's nice to now see it available. So this includes things like the logging axe, mallet, shovel, broom, scythe, pickaxe, drill, and chainsaw and fans, which now have their own separate slot. And quick slots for the mask and circlets have been moved to the armor tab, which that just makes a lot of sense. Now, a big update here is the pond added to both camps at Payloon or Howling Hill. And the way to get the pond is actually to go to your mission dispatch at camp, and there will be a selection to do this. Now, it is quite costly, as it does cost a lot of camp resources, especially the money aspect. But what's cool and what I really appreciate about this is that it has its own little setup here, so you can put your different fish into the tank there. They swim around. You can have them breed and overpopulated. So there is there's actual gameplay mechanics to this, which I think is nice. Again, you just go to the dispatch there and do that. Oh, my dragon is frozen here. Yeah, some buggy things can happen. I don't know why my Wyvern is just stuck in the ground, but that's happening. But yeah, basically we now have a pond here which you can catch fish, throw them in. And one of the things that I really appreciate is that I fed my goldfish to catch some cats, and they give you all your golden fish back. I do have a video on where to get all the legendary fish, so you can check that out. I will have that linked in the comments. But yeah, this is a newer feature, so it could have bugs like you saw there. My dragon gets stuck in the ground. And what's cool is you can actually release them directly from your inventory, but there is that button that will pop up. So likely when you press the start button, you're just going to go into that menu. And when you have multiple of a fish, it is going to gradually increase the number of that species, which is great. I really like this mechanic. I think this is going to be a fun new addition, and hopefully they expand on this even further. As fish may die if they end up having too many in the pond's capacity. In addition to this, legendary fish will always remain no matter what, so you don't have to worry about losing your legendary fish. I think this is really great that they've been giving fish back, but similar to the saute abon, I just want to put a PSA out there that it may have some buggy issues. You may not get the fish properly. Just want to cover that there. But I was missing one of the legendary fish that I caught, so it's not going to work perfectly every single time, but potentially in the future updates, they may actually correct that. And again, the big thing is they added 20 new species of small animals, baby Wyvern being one of the big ones. I will post a guide a little bit later on where to get that. It is not too hard. In a nutshell, to get the Wyvern, you come from your Howling Hill camp, and we're going to come over to, it works out perfectly, the Wyvern's Nest here. So this is to the right of the Bowspirit Cave. So coming down here, you're going to see this cave here, which is where you get one of the armor sets, the like monk style armor. When you go into this, you have to do a force palm through a little hole in the wall. Again, I'll have a guide on that. It's in the Wyvern's cradle there. And you drop the egg down, similar to the Kukra bird mount, and then you have yourself this awesome toothless dragon. Yeah, I did name mine Toothless too. I'm pretty sure a lot of others will be too, because it's a baby dragon, or wyvern I should say. In addition though, they also added in Rocket Raccoon alongside a bunch of other ones here. I think the raccoon is amazing. From my experience so far playing with it, and I've played a lot of hours already just to test all this out for you guys, the raccoon is really great at grabbing resources for you. And honestly guys, this update was absolutely massive, because you can now ride the wild wyverns and temporarily use them as mounts after being subdued. So in that same area that I showed, you can actually ride on top of them and fly around temporarily. So I'm really excited for that to get added probably next week. So looking forward to it. Now, some other really big updates. KLIFF can now use muskets and shotguns. This is huge. I like that they kept pistols away from him so that doesn't take away from Damiane's expertise there. And also, Damiane and Oongka now have a skill equivalent to the focused aerial roll. Going into focus, you can then press your right control stick and throw your shield. So if there's any of those areas that you have to do these focused ability on, you can now do them as Damiane, which is amazing. And in the skill tree here, you can see for Damiane, you now have Propel, not like Gatorade drinks, but Propel the ability. So this will use Spirit, similar to KLIFF's abilities to fly through the air. So whenever you're going to do your attack here, so you can do your double jump, and then you can actually, if you have the upgrade from Scholar Stone, you can throw down the Breath of the Wild like ability here, and then go into focus mode, use your Propel. So this is super fun, especially after they updated her outfit in the last update. It's nice to now have more mobility. It is still better typically to play as KLIFF, because it is a little bit clunkier to do this than it is to press the right control stick a few times. A little slower, but I really like that they're adding new movement abilities to the characters, and it looks really fun on them. And again, you can now silence tied up outlaws, so you don't have to hear them yap an unnecessary amount, which was super annoying. And I'm glad, it seems like they are listening to like Reddit and different threads where people are talking about things that they want to get added to the game. There's also now blueprints that allow you to craft superior branches using special tree branches at refinement level 10. New content, they also added a function to instantly upgrade refine equipment using a select refinement method without having to select those materials, just streamlining the process, makes quality of life. There are also now mass craft paintings and mass fine paintings missions, but a big one here is whenever you do a logging or quarry missions, which I'm doing pretty much non-stop, you will now be rewarded with timber and stone, which is used for a lot of different upgrades. That is a nice change. So it's not just camp supplies that you'll be getting. They also updated the claw machine, most frustrating thing that they've added like real life. And you can now see the prize a little bit clearer, so you don't have to fish around for the garbage house items that you don't want. They also did improve the infinite arrow abyss gear to function for bullets and cannonballs. This is massive, so great for Damiane and Oongka builds, and actually KLIFF builds as well, because he can use those too. So this is nice. This makes one of the best builds in the game, honestly, to go unarmed because of the crazy stagger and damage from that, and then pull out your shotgun and blast away. Now this is a nice little quality of life. Cats previously had to set them down if you wanted to capture them. Now you can do them in your arms like the other pets as well. They updated the chairs and housing so you can sit on them a little bit more naturally, and hovering the mouse over different options. The barber now allows you to preview each style. This is something that would happen if you use the mod that adds the character creator, so it's cool that they updated that to fix it. Reblockades will now happen at abandoned camps and ruins. This is huge, and I expect them to add more in the future. Improve the puzzle experience at the disconnected truth abyss. They've been updating a lot of these and making it feel a lot better and smoother to play. Griddle cooked and pan cooked dishes are now separated into fish, meat, and vegetable variants. Another huge one is fish traps now work, so you can catch fish. They've been updating things and adding in, and again, with the new fish pond, perfect. They also improved the quality of certain outfits. I'm not sure if that just means the chainmail underneath, but that's been added to all the different helmets. As part of the ongoing improvements, certain 2D visual assets have been replaced to better align with the game's art direction. I'm not sure if this is related to the AI art that they had at launch, similar to Expedition 33 whenever they had that and removed it, but there were some images I was going around looking at the different paintings, and it seems like maybe some of them are updated. Yeah, KLIFF also got the appearance of certain helms updated here, and improved the silhouette of the Bellador plate armor, so now appears more natural with various cloaks. So that is the bull armor I showed at the start of the video. I really like this update control. You can now press P to open up the photo mode, which is huge. I actually really enjoy the photo mode in this game. If you guys have seen my thumbnails, I always use photo mode. I know there's a lot of other creators out there that are using AI and stuff, and this game has a really good photo mode, so I feel bad like using obviously things like that when the tools within this game are so good. having a quick way to actually pull up the photo mode is huge, because previously if you want to do like some action shots, it was a lot harder to do so. So now you can get in and actually get your shots a little bit more easily. Also with keyboard and mouse, they've updated the input system, so all inputs can have a secondary key assigned to them. This is huge, something you can use mods for. They've added into the game, amazing. Also improved shortcut customization for all the shortcuts, so you can then freely assign them if you want to pull it up. Now they did add in a previous patch that you can press and hold the left like select button and open up your map. Nice to be able to have that. Improved photo mode, so the invert camera X and Y axis are now also applied. They updated in the last one the problem with inverting the colors, so that's great to see further updates. They also fixed some camera when you're riding on Blackstar the Dragon. Improved blinding flash that can be used while riding Blackstar, that is super cool. And improved the camera so that it faces forward after loading screens when escaping from the abyss and assembling. And in general, the camera just feels a lot better. Also in combat, Damiane's additional strike effects with two-handed cannons have been improved, and improved chain attacks falling with an unarmed dodge. Damiane got some pretty crazy updates in the last one, getting more unarmed movement attacks. Great to see updates here. There's also an update now, so if you go into the abyss and you set down a marker, for example, and then you swap back to the underworld, it's no longer going to be listed there. The maps are now separate for both of these, which I think is actually a massive quality of life. Maybe we'll see more X's that we can put on the map. I would like that option, as some other games have it. Knowledge entries and quests have now had better UI, and honestly across the board some pretty nice UI changes. Added a function to filter by weapons and skill under search there, so the skills menu is notoriously annoying to go through. And they also added some more changes for keyboard and mouse players, that you can now right click items. This is a really nice change. Now graphics settings, some hidden updates here. Performance has been improved once again. Now I run with a 4070, so nothing like crazy, obviously like it's an okay card, but I'm getting better frames per second now. Right now I'm sitting at 133 with DLSS on. Prior to this update, it was like 110, so that's actually quite a big jump, but again, that is like a dynamic thing. There's different regions, but I've seen other people online reporting that they have gotten a lot better performance as well. Power consumption seems to be down as well, so there was 2 updates ago that they actually kind of made it worse on my system in particular. But again, with these type of updates, it's gonna, your mileage may vary. If you're running like a bad, like a not amazing cart, you're probably gonna get better performance. If you're running one of the top of the line ones, you're probably gonna notice a little bit less, but nice to see that they're making changes there. Now, one of the big changes is that they added ray tracing sun and moon into the shadows in the settings here. So ray trace sun and moon light shadows, use ray tracing on the shadows created from the sun or moon. Ray tracing option must be on for this to be activated, and I'll show you guys what that looks like here. So it just adds a bit more realistic lighting here, and the frames per second went from 133 now to 122, so not a huge hit across the board. It just brings things a little bit more natural with the lighting. And ray tracing, obviously, if you know what that means, like the sun, you're gonna see, depending on where the sun is placed, you'll see more realistic shadows using this option. Another thing that I really liked is that they updated it. In the last update, my big ass head's in the way, but they have a true night tone mode, which honestly looks amazing. This isn't the best showing of it, but it just made the colors much more natural at nighttime. And even during like the bright dusk hours, the greens are more green, and a lot of other nice graphical changes. And they also partially improved GPU load in high resolution environments that exceeded 4K. They also fixed FPS values did not display correctly with DLSS frame generation. That's something I've noticed, and it's working a bit better now. They fixed the occasional flickering of vegetation. Now the pop-in is still seeming to be here, but I'm hoping that they do fix that in a future update. And a lot of these updates are like blurry. Things are now more consistently to see. Fog is now looking a little bit more better, and they fixed the glass materials as well. And Mac players should also expect better performance. The update is not currently out for Mac as of the time that I'm reading this, but now they have a ton of like other minor changes here, like rematches whenever you're playing as Oongka or Damiane. We're having issues at times. It's really fun to go challenge them as Damiane and go through and see how she can beat them up, as her new unarmed kit is really fun. They also fixed some issues with the wagon, which is notoriously also quite buggy. Now a big one is that Mercury did not crystallize when using turning slash imbued with the ice element. So if there's 2 locations in the game where you can find Mercury, and with the previous updates you had to shoot an arrow with ice imbued to be able to get this. Now you can do a turning slash, which feels so much more natural, so this is a really good change. They also changed the one-eyed jackal to lonely jackals. They changed some of the cat names in previous updates as well, like the patchy cat, which was previously like is now called a desert cat. They made a lot of different changes, so we'll likely see more of those in the future. Fixed some issues where you couldn't sell sell the live stock, and also issues where special mounts could be sold, and they now are no longer be able to sold as they're the special mounts. There were some issues with people not being able to ride mounts properly as Damiane or Oongka, and that has been fixed. There's a lot of changes, like the different challenges. The claw machine would be unstable. It's just terrible as it is in real life. You can now interact with platypus. In addition, you can now catch platypus too. They also fixed an issue where loading the game after selecting an element would reset the selected element, and this also seems to be consistent among other things that would remove different whatever element you imbued your weapon with. You may have noticed you have it on like the green there. That has been fixed. There was also issues if you use a Palmer pill outside the boss arena that you would not be resurrected properly. There's also issues where stab did not smoothly chain into the restrain skill. And there's a lot of other small updates here, so you can pause this if you want to read through it. And I honestly think across the board, some pretty cool updates. Now, some of the more hidden updates and more issues that are arising. If you go to your camp dispatch, which is how you get the new pond, you may notice that it says you have 0 dispatch members here. So this is a visual bug. It is not reflective of the amount of characters you have, because you see here, still have all my different characters here. So the number is bugged at the current moment, and they are aware of it. So this will hopefully get fixed. There's also a bug while playing as Damiane or Oongka if you're trying to do the camp faction quest that they will not complete, and they are working on an update for that as well. There's also a bug that I talked about in the last video I did on this, where pets, if you unsummon a pet, it will not appear at your camp. They did update it so that they now roam around randomly. This was added like 3 patches ago, but if you unsummon one of your pets, they won't appear anywhere. So like Rocket Raccoon, if I got rid of him, he won't appear in camp. So it's something they are working on. There's also an issue with Damiane. If she throws her shield and ends up getting knocked down, you revive her. She can't use her shield, but you can save and reload. And also, while using legendary mounts, sometimes if there's a quest where you have to follow on horseback, it won't work properly. The riding across the board on horses, as mentioned, XP is now quicker to gain. It's a lot smoother while riding. And across the board, most of the characters' movement now feels a little bit more fluid. I talked about in a previous update how they fixed the double jump. They noted it in a previous update, but they made it even better on subsequent patches. And also with the horses, your stamina recovery is better. Now, previously, the bears, oddly enough, have really fast stamina recovery. So if you have one of the bear mounts, I do have guides on how to get them, their stamina comes back really fast. And this is now applied to horses as well, from what it seems like. Riding on horses in the past, like whenever you do the max speed here, you can see they have a quicker time before it's coming back. You get faster XP. So horses across the board are better. And a lot of the combat abilities that Damiane has just feel better across the board. So honestly, I think they've been making updates to smoothen the gameplay out, because it is kind of clunky. If you played from the start of the game till now, you'll notice that pretty much everything feels much better. So let me know if you've noticed any other hidden updates were added in this, and hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video. We'll catch y'all in the next one. See you next time.